What's happening there, OBR listeners and subscribers and non-subscribers? My name is Joe Mazzullo. This is my man, Pete Smith. Welcome to Pete and Joe Breakdown Week. Well, let's Pete and Joe Breakdown Vegas Week, and welcome to this Victory Tuesday. Now, before I toss it over to you, Pete, let's do a quick announcement. The OBR is currently having their biggest VIP sale of the year, 75% off an annual subscription. You get all the great OBR VIP content, like the new premium forums, insider scoops, new VIP videos. All of this is all from your help and your support, and all our free videos and credentialed reporting. It's all coming down to you guys. So use the QR code in the upper left corner. Go straight to the subscription page and get this great deal today, just in time for the holidays. All right, Pete, Vegas Week, Victory Tuesday. How you doing? How'd you like the weekend?
I mean, look, it was fun. It was fun to win. We can complain about draft position, and I will when it comes to the goddamn Jacksonville Jaguars. To win. Like, I enjoyed watching this team have fun and just destroy a terrible football team. But I don't care. I don't care. I enjoyed every bit of it.
Agreed completely. And I mean, obviously, the focus is going to be Shedeur. The focus is going to be the first start of, probably the most famous fifth-round quarterback the world will ever know. But let's be honest. Shedeur Sanders is not a good quarterback. I don't think any quarterback has a chance of being a good quarterback until at least year 3. But let's be honest, he's not a good quarterback right now. But what he has is flashes of talent, flashes of playmaking ability. And for a stagnant offense that honestly couldn't put one foot in front of the other, that could be a catalyst.
Yeah, I mean, the play to Isaiah Bond was incredible. I don't know if anyone else on the roster can make that throw. I don't know how many guys in the league can make it. And it was a bad play design.
Yeah.
Protection was bad. Like, there was a lot of bad on that play, and he just made it work. And, we finally got to see Isaiah Bond do the thing we wanted to see Isaiah Bond do. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing. Like, Shedeur Sanders has a lot to improve upon, and he's got to improve fast. But we've talked about it. There are limitations with what Dylan Gabriel brings you, and he may know more, may have a better sense of how the game should look. But it's easy to say, look, I get something out of this that he's not giving it. It's basically boiled down to 3 or 4 really good plays, 3 hugely explosive plays that changed the game. I mean, the Isaiah Bond play changed the entire game.
Yeah.
The Raiders completely changed how they play defense the rest of the game based on one. It changed the spacing of the game. It just the Raiders blitzed like 4 times the whole game and basically stopped. At the point they showed a lot of pressure and then backed off, dropped guys, but that made suddenly the lines easier. Life was much easier, and it just sort of set some things up. I like, it will feel like sort of dramatic to say this, but I think the Isaiah Bond play is part of why the Dylan Sampson play happens in the first place, because he forced the defense to be a little bit more honest to the Browns' overall threat. So that is a thing that we haven't had. Like, we just haven't gotten that from Dylan Gabriel at this point. So, like, I cannot state just how far he still has to go as a quarterback, but I don't care. Yeah. Like, I'm hoping he can make a big improvement, because he's going to need it against the 49ers, who statistically don't have a great defense. But Robert Saleh is no fool.
Yeah.
I'm going to look at this tape and see exactly what they need to do to sort of cause problems for Shedeur Sanders, and Shedeur Sanders have to have better answers than he had for some of what he got against the Raiders.
Yeah, agreed. But this is the whole journey of a rookie quarterback. There's going to be things every single week for the first part of his career that he sees new things, that he gets fooled, that he gets a pre-diagnosed read pre-snap, but then they mix things up like the interception. The interception, he thought the end was going to drop out to the flat, but he dropped back and cut off the Judy pass. It's little things like that. But that was the crux of my issue with Gabriel, is that I don't mind rookie mistakes. I don't mind a youthful player progressing while making mistakes, but it can't come at the cost of any production whatsoever. You need to give some on the other side too. You need to make plays. You need to show why you're there. You can't just be, holding your hand because, oh, well, he's young. And that's exactly what Shedeur did. He showed in many cases that he is, in fact, not quite ready for the spotlight. He's not quite ready to run an offense at a high level, at the NFL level. He's not, and that's okay. But the talent is apparent. And that's all I'm looking for, is the ability to get better, the mentality to do it, and the ability to make plays if they break down. And he showed it all on Sunday. It was nice to see.
Yeah, my main criticism with Dylan Gabriel is I did not see much fight. I never took swings. Bruce Sanders gets swing. Hit him, just swing. And he landed a couple of them in this game, which is all that they needed. The defense was so dominant, controlled the game almost from the word go. Once they hit 14-0, it was over.
Yeah.
The score was technically in doubt, and there were some moments where it got like slightly tense, I guess. But it was over. At 14-0, the game was over. And that's fine. And we talked about it. Getting sure a soft landing was what we wanted. Having watched this, could not have asked for a softer landing than the Las Vegas Raiders.
Unbelievably soft.
I watched the game. I know Max Crosby's on that defense. I don't know a single other person on that defense. They are awful. Yeah. And I don't know, other than Max Crosby, I don't know if a single other players can be on that defense next year.
I don't know what about that team is going to be there next year. I really don't. Like it's coming apart at the seams. I mean, you spend $6 million to bring Chip Kelly from Ohio State, and then you give him 11 games with those injuries and that line. And I don't know, man. That is a dumpster fire that I was very happy to see on our schedule for this particular week. You are absolutely correct. That's a soft landing times 10.
It's weird because, like, look, we talked about this the whole year in terms of the schedule. The first 6 weeks were awful. Now they've got this spot where all of a sudden you sit there and go, man, they don't blow the Bengals game. They don't, gag the Vikings game. They don't lose the freaking Jets.
Yep.
All of a sudden you sit here and go, the Titans are awful. They're going to be here in 2 weeks. Like, that's another, Jordan might struggle. Looks awful against the San Francisco 49ers. I'm frankly baking that in. And he could also go out and look really good against the Titans. Look like he's progressing against the Tennessee Titans. And then, like, the Bengals aren't good. Their defense is horrific.
Mm-hmm.
There's more opportunities there, and you're going to sit there and you're going to look and you go, man, if the Browns had this, that, and the other thing, this would be a hell of a lot more interesting. As it is, they are what they are with 3-8. But if you look at this game, non the Shedeur element, even if you just ignore the defense for Mason Graham and Carson Swift, you got Gage Larvin sets the game up with
punt return. Excellent punt return.
Rookie, undrafted rookie.
Mm-hmm.
Isaiah Bond, undrafted rookie, sets up the big play, which gives them basically a touchdown from like the 2-yard line.
To another rookie.
Quinshon Judkins, rookie, scores 2 touchdowns. Harold Fannin continues to be Harold Fannin, who's a rookie. And then at the end, you get the 66-yard touchdown, and he had a 26-yard run as well.
Yep.
Alan Sampson finally got some space and made the most of it. And so if you are an organization and you are trying to sit here and go showcase a look at why the Browns went the path they did. This is the game you sit there and go, this is what we're trying to get to. Trying to get a whole lot of rookie development. Maybe they're not all good. Even as I say all this, I think Isaiah Bond is basically out as a wide receiver. He can be great at it. If he gives you one of those every other game,
that's right. That's all you need.
Yeah. If Gage Larvidan can lock down wide receiver 6 and return punts, done.
Yep.
If Dylan Sampson, I think Dylan Sampson could be a bigger factor in the offense. Again, I just think spacing. I just think this offense. He and Harold Fanner are the two guys I sort of look at and go, the better the offense gets, the better they will get. Because just our guys are just going to eat up the space that everything else creates around them. And the same, similar with Quinshon Jenkins, where I sit here and jump every weekend. Imagine what this guy's going to be like if they have real blocking. Mm-hmm. Imagine if they have guys that are actually consistently winning the line of scrimmage, how much this kid's going to be. And then, obviously, the quarterback situation, we'll see. I mean, obviously, it's one start. I'm not going to sit here and jump off, the whole, is sure the answer. But I'm here for letting him see if he can do something. Yeah. And just, looking at that schedule and looking ahead, if the Browns are potentially win themselves out of position, which I think is to take a quarterback, my probably not hot take at all is I would take the guy the Browns just played in a heartbeat. Problem is that
you're talking Geno. If they touch Geno,
I would absolutely take Geno Smith in a heartbeat on this football team if they can address the other issues.
Yeah,
I think the Raiders are too poor to let it eat the guaranteed money involved. But 30 or 44 for almost 300 yards.
Pete, he throws a beautiful ball, man. Geno can absolutely play. He can absolutely play, dude.
How is he alive?
Yeah.
He got absolutely beaten up, 20 quarterback hits, and he's still getting up and fighting. And there were plays that were there that he had. And yes, he's just really, really good. I feel awful for him because he's in that situation. But that was my sort of thought about this. Between winning and all the other stuff, if there's a weird world where the Browns play themselves out of position, they go, look, we're screwed. We're not going to be in a position to get Ty Simpson and those. And I'm certainly not suggesting that it's guaranteed. But just thinking out loud and being if this is the situation they find themselves and they go, we're just going to go this other route. And the Raiders are screw it. We're not dealing with Pete Carroll anymore. We just got rid of all of his coordinators, all this other stuff. We're going in a different direction. We want to go younger and all this stuff. It was I don't want to bother with this.
Yeah.
There's a world where they're sitting there and go, we're willing to eat the money and trade him. If he has a team, I think you get Seattle version of him back immediately. And not only that, if you are somebody who really likes Shedeur and the potential of what Shedeur can be, Smith is the perfect guy for him because he is a former quarterback who was drafted second round, was predicted to be highly picked. So we were talking about him in the first round for the Browns at that point.
Oh yeah, yep.
And then obviously struggles in his first stop, has a very journeyman-like career before he ultimately finds a ton of success.
Yeah, well, and don't forget, Pete, in his whole pre-draft process too, he was one that had the attitude, that had the arrogance about him, that rubbed a lot of teams the wrong way, was on his cell phone during meetings, stuff like that. So it's you're right. There's some similarities to draw from.
So, and has a relationship with Shedeur Sanders. No, Shedeur Sanders has a relationship with Shedeur Sanders. So look, I'm throwing out what is almost certainly an unrealistic scenario, but I could easily talk myself into the scenario where the Browns say, we're going to fix up everything around. And as a result, we need a veteran. And we want somebody we're not just getting a Kenny Pickett, nothing against Kenny Pickett. I like Kenny Pickett as a starting quarterback. We want to get a real quarterback. Smith is a real quarterback. Whatever you want to say about him, the Browns beat the absolute stuffing out of the Raiders and him.
Yes.
He's legitimately very good on an awful, awful football team.
Yeah, agreed completely. He is very good. I will say this, Pete. I'm a Shedeur fan. I'm a Shedeur guy. And now that I've seen him on the field, and you see that the physical skills are there. Okay, he's never going to wow anybody with his athleticism, but he's a nice enough athlete that he can move and he can make some plays with his feet. Right. We saw the arm talent. The accuracy is there. The arm strength is better than I thought it was, to be perfectly honest with you. I thought he had a slightly above average arm. He's got a bit of a whip on him. He threw a seed to Bond, man. He put a perfect amount of air on that. He was going all, across it, not across his body, but he was going to his right. That's a tough throw. I like the skill set. I like the mental toughness. I like the physical toughness. I like all of these things. I don't care that he's a 5th-round pick, Pete. I like Shedeur. I liked him enough to, I'll raise my hand and say Jackson Dart, Shedeur Sanders. I would have been good with either of those guys at 2, not because they were the second best player or necessarily a worthy player for that pick, but because in the position the Browns were in, I thought moving on with the face of the franchise and a rookie contract was a good place to be and a good move for them to make. I'm just saying, you look at the top 10 of this draft.
We had a couple good episodes. That was good.
No. Hey, you got to hear me out. You got to hear me out, okay? And I truly believe this. I believe that Shedeur can be a starter in the NFL, and that a team, if he's developed correctly, can be okay with him as the guy. I truly do. And I said this a couple weeks ago. I'm not ready to give Barry and Stefanski another bite at the QB apple. I don't want to. They ran off Baker. They took Deshaun. Everything up until this year in the draft regarding quarterback and free agent has been iffy at best. I haven't loved it. So I don't necessarily want these guys to be the one that takes the next big swing for the Browns. But I'll tell you right now, if Kevin Stefanski can develop Shedeur Sanders and get him to play at a decent enough level, then I'm like, okay, maybe he's not good enough, but Kevin's good enough to get this going. Let's get him a more talented quarterback and see where he can go.
Okay. I'll let the Baker thing slide because Baker was as problematic in his own demise as anyone.
Of course. It still happened.
And I put most of the blame, honestly, on the ownership.
Yeah.
At the time, my argument was put these guys in a room, figure it out. Just figure it out, get them on the 5th-year option. And then all of a sudden, you got that stupid quote in that Tennessee newspaper. And Cleveland Browns like, I have no idea where this came from. Yeah. Like that to me was more destructive than anything. And you go endless reporting about the problems he had. And obviously, he didn't handle his shoulder injury well. The Browns didn't handle his shoulder injury well. And there's other players in that who are still in that building who did not handle that situation well.
Yeah.
May not have drawn some very bold lines in the sand over it. The other part I would push back on is who is good at finding quarterback. So, like, there's no one, maybe me, but like other than maybe me. No, I mean, like, it's legitimately so difficult. And guys who get credit for being really, really good will miss wildly.
Yeah.
It is so difficult to do. And in like, until you get it right, then like, you just, this is where you're at. You're constantly hoping and swinging. Like you hope you have a good process. You hope you're evaluating the right things. But like at the end of the day, you are guessing. I mean, the ultimate example, Peyton Manning and Ryan Leaf were neck and neck the entire way.
Yep.
One of them is one of the best quarterbacks of all time. The other guy
is the biggest bust there ever was.
I mean, like, and the amount of people, obviously, like Todd McShay will constantly reference this, who's a pretty good evaluator, how badly he missed on a guy like Jamarcus Russell. All these other people. Like, I don't have a problem with them taking another quarterback. Absolutely zero. In fact, I would argue that they should keep swinging. Even if they don't take one early, I would draft another quarterback.
Yeah.
Just because I'm going to keep swinging. Now, that's sort of counterintuitive if you add a veteran, but like, that's my thought process. Having said that, from the George Sanders element, the biggest thing I want to see from him moving forward is I want to see less evacuating, more plan as far as his feet go.
Yeah.
Because what I really want to see is more throws to space. Because, and you saw it with the Bond play. And we're going to learn if he can find himself in these situations where he can do this. We're going to learn a lot about this.
Yeah.
That ball, he rolls out, he throws that ball up in the air, beautiful ball. It's jaw-droppingly good.
He got tattooed too. He took a hit.
But he threw it in a way that now allowed, in this case, Bond to go find it, adjust to the ball, and make a plan. I want more guys, more receivers on this team. situations where they are being asked to do those type of things.
Yeah.
Find some space. Shedeur throws a ball to that space. Receiver makes play on ball. And that does not mean they need to high point. Obviously, Bond didn't. He just tracked it and caught it over his shoulder. I'm not interested in like throwing 50-50 balls. I want to throw to open guys.
Of course.
Throw to the correct shoulder, throw the open space so they can make that play. But I want to see that. Like, it's great that we have guys who gets the ball when you put it on him on time and on schedule.
Yeah.
Let's push their limits as far as if we are off schedule or there is space to be thrown to. I want to see more of those things. So in order to happen, he cannot live in a world where he's trying to do that all the time.
Of course.
It's incredible. It is not a world you can live with. Cannot plan to do that. So he's got to get a better plan with his feet. Because there were a couple situations where, and he's been doing this since college, where his body's not in position to make a throw when the receiver's open because he's either trying to like leave a clean pocket or turn away from a clean pocket or just maneuver himself where he's not in position to make a throw. He's got to have better answers. My concern that's going to be an off-season thing. Not something you can do in a couple days of practice or a couple weeks. Maybe over the course of the remainder of the season, we might see some incremental improvement, but it was not good in this game. Like, obviously people get frustrated with Jerry Jeudy because he had the fumble, but he also and then they get frustrated because he's shaking his head on play. He was right. He was right on some of these things where like the DB literally fell down on the wheel. Jerry Jeudy's open. Shedeur Sanders is not in a position to make a throw. He has to keep sliding out and then throw the ball away. So not only is it not throwing the ball in time to no completion at all. It's just incomplete. And that's where, like, I always looked at Shedeur Sanders, a 2-year project. Now, at the end of the 2 years, I think he could – potential is there for him to be an absolute long-term starter. A very, very good player. Top 12, I don't know. Just he can exist.
He can be a guy. Yeah.
Yes, he can be a guy. But, like, those are the things where I sit here and watch, and I get worried. And at the same time, there are things the offense is doing that is not helping him. I think the positions are just convoluted and wrong in terms of whether how they're calling it, how they're planning it. Some of that needs to be improved. But, like, I want to see the throws. I want to see him make throws, and I don't want to see him in a situation where he's not making throws or he's late. He's not being able to do what he needs to do because his feet aren't, or his body, and essentially I lead with his feet. His body is not in a position to make the throw when it's open. Like, good example, Jerry Jeudy, the play he did fumble.
Mm-hmm.
That ball should have been right out of his break. He was wide open.
Yeah.
But, and it worked out. He was able to sort of delay and keep his eyes up, which would have it. He keeps his eyes up and keeps looking down the field. That's something Dylan Gabriel often does not do. But he waited too long. It's open, and now we're throwing it late. And obviously it worked out in that case, but the NFL, you're not going to get a whole lot of those. The Raiders are bad.
Yeah.
This week, if he tries that, if it's
not going to look the same.
Brown, if it's any of these other DBs, I just watched them intercept 17 balls from Bryce Young. It's going to be a long day. So I'm hoping, and again, this is part of the process. Like, had a week of first team reps. I'm hoping, like, what sort of my thought process of how I would sort of look at this is I would focus on a thing a week, really hammer with him. He's going to have stuff where he's generally trying to improve at everything.
Yeah. But
I would really have him focus on, this is the thing I want to get better at this week. He really puts emphasis on. And right now, that is just his feet and being in a position to make throws out of that. And that's where, like, just the development process is brutal and unfair and unforgiving in that sense because it's the NFL, the games count, and you just got to go and work with it. And I'm hoping he can sort of find a way to make these improvers prove all at the same time he's trying to absorb it. A ton of coaching and information. So that's sort of where I'm at on him. But I'm with you. I'm sign me up for hopefully more. And if it's terrible, if it's Rams preseason game, we can reevaluate. But for the moment, let's roll.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, Big thing for me is I enjoyed how different he looked this week. And whether it's just a comfortability thing, whether it's the week of reps, whether it's not getting thrown at halftime, I want to see improvement, right? That's all we want to see from a young player. Just get better week to week. Let me see tangible evidence that, okay, you learned from this, you learned from that. There was a third down conversion. It was just a little dump. It was like a little 5-yard dump over the line to Fannin. But I thought that was a play that was an excellent example of how far he's come in just a week. To have the patience, to not bail on the pocket, to not turn his back and try to run out of there and try to make a play. Just patiently waited till the defense dropped a little bit and then just dropped off a catchable ball. It's little things like that, man. Just take the easy ones and the hard ones will come eventually.
I absolutely agree. And one of the things we talked about last week was and I thought this would happen. I said at the time with the Ravens game, we're going to get the absolute worst of everything thrown in there and trying to survive. So you can get everything absolute worst it is. He's going to fall to the absolute basest level of training he has, which unfortunately is backwards, the ball, do those type of things. Now, I agree with you. There was only one time I saw him turn his back to the defense, which just was maddening to watch in live action, which is when Jack Conklin got called down. And it ultimately resulted in a throwaway, so it was no harm, no foul. But he literally slowly turned around behind Max Crosby. To your point, did not do the thing he'd been doing. Did not have a whole lot of situations where he ripped it backwards. Instead, his solution, not a great solution, but certainly better than what he was doing, was to start sliding laterally. A lot of that was slide to your throwing hand. That is a lot of quarterbacks do it. I will be not surprised when the 49ers make sure he can't do that.
Yeah.
The best they can. They're going to try to take that away as much as they possibly can, because of course you would. The other part, one of the other things I want to see Shore do, he's got to figure this out. He cannot run around holding the ball with one hand. He's going to have that ball knocked out at some point.
Yeah.
His default is he immediately sticks that hand out and just holds it with one hand and then tries to run it. He's been doing it forever, but you watch him doing the game, you say, oh my God.
Yep.
He has to hit it. He just loses his grip slightly and the ball is out.
Yep.
So I agree. So in that sense, 3 days of first team reps, saw an incremental improvement. So that's where I'm sitting here and going, I hope they can find a thing that he can get better at each and every week. Even if there is a real possibility, he goes out here against the 49ers as 180 yards and 3 picks. I'm not rooting for that to happen.
No.
I just think this is a very real possibility because the 49ers are not a very good defense in terms of talent because they've lost so many guys to injury. No Nick Bosa, no front corner, no 12th pick in the draft who wasn't doing much anyway.
Yeah, Michael Williams.
They're just down bodies. Having said that, Robert Saleh is really good. You watch that defense against Carolina and you're like, I don't know who any of these guys are, but they are on Carolina's game really well. So that's where I worry this could be a setback, and then we're going to be hopefully seeing incremental improvements within bad football plays, because I think that's just inevitable with where he's at. And it's not limited to him. The line sucks. I should say at best is average.
Yeah.
Don't have enough reliability with receivers. But the other part I wanted to make the point of with the receiver thing, throwing guys to space, I want to see guys playing to the whistle as receivers. When Dylan Gabriel, you could get in the habit of knowing the ball's not coming through.
Yep.
Fortunately, and guys could throttle down and be like, "Ball ain't coming my way."
Yep.
And the one
happened twice on Sunday. Happened twice on Sunday, Pete.
And the one where Cedric Tillman did throttle down, he shouldn't have, but that ball had no business going there either. It's
in
the safety
for sure.
Either way.
Yeah.
Nothing else. You better that better have been the wake-up call. Jerry Jeudy did it, and Cedric Tillman did it.
Yep.
If that continues to be a problem, then you've got a problem. And for the most part, I look at run blocking from receivers as a good indication of buy-in and effort. Block.
Yeah.
We're talking, if Shedeur Sanders is a starter 3 games from now, we're still talking about this. Browns have a legit problem.
Yeah, no, I
That's
agree
the
with
other
you.
reason I want him to throw these balls down the field and throw to space, because I want these guys to go and get it. And I think part of the reason they got lulled into this thing of going, we're gonna get the ball. So why bother?
Yeah,
I'm hoping this should have been the end of that. The ball is
yeah.
coming, or you at least have to be ready for the possibility that it's coming. You got to play through the whistle.
And what I liked about those throws, Pete, because like I'm with you, you don't necessarily want those throws to happen. You know, they were almost kind of like dead plays, but Shador put it in a part of the field where it was like his guy or nobody. It was right on the edge of the sideline. It was still well enough within play. It wasn't a throwaway. It was a legitimate shot. And neither guy was ready for it. Neither guy was looking for it. And I think, like you said, it's back to you're kind of predisposed to just not thinking you're getting that ball because of who you've been playing with. What I like, though, is like it's like this is a busted play. Let's at least put them on their heels. Like my read isn't there.
Yes.
Let's at least make them think. I love that.
And if nothing else, like if you're throttling down, you're giving the defense a cue. So if there is an underneath pass, defense is already predisposed to know there's nothing coming my way. Like,
yep, and they're dropping and they're ready to
for
take
everybody
it.
else. Like, do your 111th, do your job, do all this, do the stuff. But like I said, for one game, fine. If we're still talking about this, and guys not finishing routes, then it's got a real problem, and you've got to address it either by somebody else in there or something. But like, the kid's going to throw it, and I want guys to actually make an effort to make plays because he throws a catchable ball. He throws a ball that's going to allow guys to be good. And to the same point, if guys aren't going to finish their routes, obviously I'm not going to tell a rookie not to throw there because he's got to throw where the ball's supposed to go. But like, he makes it difficult to trust anybody.
Yeah, no, and I mean that's the whole thing. We have no idea what this offense is supposed to look like. It's never hit the ground running. Not with Flacco, not with Gabriel. We had the tackle issues early. We've got youth everywhere. We still don't truly know what they want this offense to be, but I'm intrigued to see what they're going to do with Shador moving forward. I feel like you saw more juice out of the linemen. You saw more juice out of the skill guys. Like it's just like he brought an energy. And granted, like it was like the perfect storm with like the right team and the right time and everything like that, with the opponent. But still, it's like it's positive momentum in a season that we were adrift in the middle of the Pacific, Pete. we were lost. Like it was going nowhere. There was nothing positive outside of the defense. Like this is a nice change of pace. It's a nice show to have talking about the offense in this light. Even if it wasn't much, it's something,
Yeah, I mean, the bottom line is you got, he threw 20 passes. 3 of them were explosive plays, and Jerry Jeudy's fumble is basically the first time where like an explosive play doesn't lead to points.
Yeah,
3 at a time leads to points, and in this case, Isaiah Bond leads to points. The Dylan Sampson thing is points, and it's an offense, and like, you could sit there and go, "Oh, that's an easy play." Well, look, 2 weeks ago, Browns had Malachi Corley set up. Sort of walked into the end zone with the way it was set up. Dylan Gabriel missed it. Shador didn't. And like, that's where we're at right now. The guy who's hitting it should probably be in there as opposed to the guy who's not. And like, that's not a good place to be as a football team, but like, it is what it is. So put him in. And again, I think the Isaiah Bond play enabled 66-yard touchdown pass to Dylan Sampson. And I'm hoping that, like, again, by having a quarterback who's willing to take some of these shots, it's going to create more ability and space, get some of these guys going. But you like whether it was Fannin catching that little simple dump off and then wheeling his way for first down again, or some of these other plays, like I'm fine with that. Like the first third down, he completes the pass short of the sticks.
Yeah,
that was the pass. Okay. That was the play.
Yep.
Job and move on to the next one. Yeah, it ends up with a punt. Who cares? Like I want him to execute what he's supposed to execute, but I'm hoping obviously that between his gaining experience and confidence, all these other things, they can start growing him in the offense at the same time. Because right now, the offense was pretty basic, and that's got to improve quickly. So hopefully he's, I don't doubt his effort. I don't doubt his work, but that's the part where I get worried relative to a team like the 49ers and sit here and go, well, if they are stuck in this mode, it's going to be a long afternoon because they just can't do enough yet. So I'm hoping we're going to see go from like a 101 offense to at least a 201.
Yeah. No, and that's the thing. I'm sure they're gonna get deeper in the bag of tricks with Shador as the season goes on. I'm okay with the conservative game plan, especially early on. But with the way the defense is playing, they should make it a pretty simplified offense that occasionally Shador will try to make a play and out of structure. But let's keep it simple. Let's not turn the ball over. Let's keep let the defense basically play us into position to win that game, So enough quarterback talk. Because we're going to go over this ad nauseum for the remainder of the season. Let's skip over to running backs real quick. So we saw it start with Dylan Gabriel, and they've continued the Quinshon Judkins Wildcat thing at the goal line. Now, I got to tell you, Pete, I love it because our offensive line at the point of attack just does not win. They just don't. They get beat constantly. And what I like about that formation for Judkins is it basically just it lets him pick and choose. It lets him find a spot where he can shoot through and and read the defense and make a move there. I kind of like that, and I like how they're using him. But are you discouraged at just he's been under 4 yards a carry for like the last 4 or 5 weeks.
No, I sit here and dream of a world where he has real blocking. That's it. Like, that's what frustrates me. But to your point, one, Browns did the same thing with Dylan Gabriel in part because they wanted to take as much off of Shador's plate as possible. This was an easy Shador Sanders with Tevin Jenkins, who's a guard. And then the other part about this is by incorporating the jet action, and you can see it on the one from like the 11-yard line or whatever it is.
Yeah.
There's 3 defenders that have to at least be honest to it before they try to cut back and get back to Judkins to try to make a tackle. He's not touched till basically the 4-yard line. And then he's obviously strong enough to just power his way in from there. You get more beef on the field. A lot of people look at the Wildcat thing and go, well, it really simplifies things. And it does to a point, but you still have to be honest to the possibility that they're going to hand the ball off to somebody else before you cover that space. Whether that is a guy like Harold Fannin, who's obviously really difficult to bring down, a guy like Malachi Corley, who's not easy, a guy like Isaiah Bond, who's just really fast. You can't just assume that you can have one defender cover that and win. So by doing that, you obviously you get an extra number. Instead of being 10 on 11, you're immediately 11 on 11. And by doing that, just having one guy go in motion, you're probably getting 2 defenders out of the way. So your numbers just increase over and over again. And what your point is, it does allow Judkins to pick his hole. He gets to just see where it is and go. And to the Browns' credit, they at least provide effort as much as they can. You get like Brendan Bates driving dudes in, or like Whiteheart driving dudes in the end zone to fight, scratch and claw. And if that's what it takes, that's what this team is right now. So I'm fine with it. Obviously I want to get to a point where they can do some play action stuff and throw the ball with Shador Sanders. Like we saw, the one thing Dylan Gabriel did really well is we got a couple of really nice plays in the red zone to throw touchdowns. Soft toss to Harold Fannin, some of those other things. Obviously I want to get Sanders to a point where he can do some of the stuff because he's legitimately been a pretty good red zone quarterback. And while he's a pretty awful athlete for the most part, he is pretty good.
It's just in comparison to his dad.
He is
pretty good. His mom's speed. That's it.
Pretty good inside the 5-yard line to just pretty good when you get him close to the goal line to just be able to look down and go. And just provide that extra threat. So I'm hoping we get there. But for right now, great. No one's going to complain about more Judkins. I think they can continue to build off that and dress it up enough to keep it a threat. But that's what this team is. If they get inside the red zone, they want to put more big people in there and run it behind them. Great, as long as they get the touchdown. And they were good in the red zone. Who might argue?
Well, we've been asking for it all year, and we finally. It was that beautiful combination of a horrible Raiders defense and the offense making some plays downfield. But we finally saw Dylan Sampson in space, and it was nice. There's a nice little burst on that kid, man. It was the great play design. The blocking downfield was insane. He was untouched. That was a phenomenal play.
Yes, again, I can clarify every time that the Raiders suck. Well, like, when you talk about, like, when people want to talk about, well, the players aren't trying and all this stuff, watch them block.
Yep.
These guys block on the perimeter. You get Cedric Tillman out there. You get David Njoku out there. You get Harold Fannin out there. You got, I think Ethan Posick was out there trying to get a block, and like,
yep.
Dylan Sampson wasn't touched, and it was. Think with Dylan Sampson, he's a 4-4 guy, low 4-4 guy.
Yeah.
His ability how seamless his cuts are relative to his overall speed. This was a trait he had in college too. He doesn't lose speed. So like the 26-yard run he had, they finally got really good blocking there on the right side. And he sticks his foot in the ground and makes that. He doesn't lose any kind of speed, and he just continues to accelerate. And then here, and this is where like people get mad and go like, you're comparing him to Eric Metcalf, and I, not comparing him directly to Eric Metcalf, but I see shades when I see the speed which I saw out of him, the ability to maneuver him in different positions and utilize him in that, because he's gone almost from step 2.
Yep.
Because one, the blocking was so good, and like the announcers live were sitting there like one man to beat. The one man to beat was 10 yards behind him, and like Tyson was going behind him because he was so far out in front. Like this, and those are the plays I want to see from here. Utilize with Dylan Sampson. If they can create more space. You aren't living in a world where it looks like the Browns are playing a red zone defense on the ball. And Tennessee had to beat 11 guys a whole lot of the time. Let's make it beat 2. It's so fast, so quick. He's got, unfortunately, even in this game, he had a million plays tackled by the. It's like suddenly 7 guys right by him.
Yep.
If you can give him space, he is terrifying to be the 5th option on offense if they can get everything right, which is like, for what this offense has been, it's been abysmal. But like you can see that Raiders are bad, but this game functioned as a vision of what is possible if they get better. Obviously the offensive line and better quarterback play, whether that's on the roster or not, that there are pieces in place that can be very good to address these other things.
And what I like, Pete, obviously, like there's no reason to rehash how bad the offense has been up until this point, right? It's been disappointing. It's been stagnant. It's been all that stuff. But I like that we're starting to put stuff on film from the guys that you don't know about, the teams have to account for. Now, I would love for them to fake a sweep, an end around to Malachi Corley at this point, because I feel like anytime he's on the field and he goes in that direction, they hand it to him, and the Raiders blew it up. They were looking for it, right? But now we've got Isaiah Bond going downfield to make a big play like that. We've got Dylan Sampson doing that. Everybody knows about Harold Fannin now because he's been as consistent as anybody on the offense, making plays week to week. It's so important for this team to establish threats that you have to account for, especially a guy like Bond who stretches the field, who's going to – That's it. Just account for threats and just have guys that appear as threats, and it opens up everything. Like you said, after that play to Bond over the Raiders didn't blitz. They completely dialed it down. Like, oh, shit. If he's going to do that, then let's rethink this. Let's rethink how we attack him. It's just it's all cause and effect. And all these little plays and all these little things that they can do to stack guys in the offense that are capable of just being a threat, it's going to lead to good things. Let's talk wide receiver now. Jerry Jeudy's been such a hot button topic for this whole thing. And when Jeremy Chin punched out that ball, I wanted to throw my shoe at the television. I was as pissed off as anybody. But that's a good football play. It's a bang bang play. Jerry Jeudy wasn't loafing it. He was setting up the 3 defenders he had. He had the one guy right to his inside left, and he had 2 guys right in front of him. So if you're going to hear footsteps, well, that's it right there. It's right to my left, and it's right in front of me. It's tough to know that there's a guy directly behind him. It's not a loaf. It's not that he was making a stupid, careless play. It was one of those fluky things.
I love the idea that the guy was loafing with the ball in his hands downfield. Like, he's like, you know what? I worked to get, it took a while to get me the ball. It took too long.
Yeah.
I'm just
I
going to
read.
half-ass the rest of this rep. Look, the thing with Jerry Judy, he did this all of last year. Not this specific thing, but like
Yeah.
the reason he was so good last year is because he was absolutely dynamic after the catch.
Yep.
Part of the reason was, one, you got in situations where like Cedric Tillman would go block somebody and create a space, but Jerry Judy could just create after play. In this particular case, he took too long. He took too long to make that next move. That's what it was. And he is careless in the sense that he should know better as an NFL player that there's probably going to be DB coming from football. He's got to do a better job protecting. He's just got to be more decisive with his move. But I agree with you 100%. This is a guy who's been walking through the desert for 11 weeks, and he finally gets an opportunity to make a play, and like it's the wrong choice in terms of trying to make that play. Coach him, you get on him, you get whatever else. But like, I want him to have the ball. If we get the 49, against the 49ers, do I want Jerry Jeudy to have the ball in open space? Yeah, I want him to have the ball in open space. I want him to get a chance to break somebody's ankles and crease the ball. I want to see him do what he did to the Denver Broncos. I want to see what he did to the North Saints last year, where he just
how about just last week? How about on that last drive against the Ravens?
Yes.
Wait,
Yes.
it was what? It was like it's like fourth and 10, right? Or like 4th and 8, something like that. Caught a 7-yard out, made a great cut, and ripped his way through defenders to get the first down. He's good after the catch. He's such low-hanging fruit right now that anything he does wrong, it's just like it's magnified. It's this. He's not a number one. He's overpaid. I heard somebody saying that he was an embarrassment. He was overpaid and all this stuff. He's paid as a number 2 wide receiver. Like I don't understand what Browns want from him or what Browns fans want from him. He's paid as a number 2. He's not a number 1. This is just the state of the offense. Guys, it's a bottom 5 offense in football, and that is being super generous to say it's not a bottom 2 or 3 offense in football. That's just the name of the game. You're not going to be perfect everywhere. Jerry Jeudy, we got so many more problems than Jerry Jeudy, guys. It blows my mind.
Well, like, and this is the thing. If like Shedeur Sanders can be successful, I want him to throw Jerry Jeudy into space, let him go get the ball and make plays. Because he can do that. We saw him get 1,200 yards last year on a bad off.
Yeah.
And if they continue to improve the wide receiver position, they get more weapons, it's only going to make him better. So, I am frustrated with and for Jerry Jeudy. I'm frustrated that he does not want to be a leader. He wants to do the right things. He wants to be this, that, and the other. He's not consistent as a human being, unfortunately. I wish he was more consistent as a human being. I wish he was more consistent in carrying himself in a way that
doesn't come off as a pouty child.
Yes, I would rather he not do that. I would rather he act like a grown-ass man. But like at the same time, like we also are, we are a poverty offense, and we're trying to like get the hell out of the one guy who would play on a whole lot of other offense.
Yeah. And that's always been my contention with wide receivers, right? Because wide receivers are always the divas. Wide receivers are always the guy that look at AJ Brown in Philly, like they're fresh off a Super Bowl, and he's pissed that his numbers aren't what it's supposed to be. It's like little things like that, right? But I feel like wide receiver is the one position that it doesn't matter what you do. You can dog your corner across from you all game long. You can route him up left and right and be wide open left and right. But if the box score says no catches because your quarterback sucks, you suck by comparison. Like that's just, you get lumped in, you're garbage, you're this, you're that. It's tough. Wide receivers have it tough.
When he fumbled, the immediate thing that went through my head was that the most Jameson Williams-ass play possibly make, because that's always what I think of. Jameson Williams for the Lions is like the Joker with the ball in his hands. You just never know what's going to happen. He could go 100 yards, or he could decide to go take an intentional safety just to do it. Like he's that wild of a player. And it was just like that was the most Jameson Williams-ass play he could make. So yeah, the Browns have a million other problems bigger than Jerry Jeudy. And had they lost the game, that would have been obviously a huge.
That's all we would hear.
That would have been it. So that's the benefit of winning, is you get to coach up mistakes and figure it out. Whereas if you lose, then you get everybody over. So I'm hoping he gets more opportunities. I'm hoping he goes off against the 49ers. I hope that's okay. I hope he has 150 yards. Like I want, because the thing is, like, the other part about this is, like, there are people who are like, well, see, last year as if it didn't happen. He's incapable of being that player anymore, and like that was a one thing. It's not like he was in a contract year and then fighting for the contract. He had already gotten it, so it's not like he was like going to coast. Like, that's the worry I have with George Pickens. Is George Pickens getting a $150 million contract and then continue to lose his mind?
Yeah. You want to talk about the Joker? That's the Joker, Pete. Well, George Pickens is the Joker.
That's true too.
How about as far as Judy's concerned? Let's go over his whole career, right? Because he goes to Denver. Denver has been a train wreck at quarterback up until they get rid of Judy. Then still, there's plenty of Bo Nix detractors, right? But he's at least kind of solidified that position moving forward. There's obviously room for improvement, but either way, Jerry Jeudy never played with anybody good in Denver. I don't consider Denver Russell Wilson a good football player. Okay.
I think wrong on that one.
What's that?
I was dead wrong on that one. I thought I thought Russell Wilson in Denver was going to crush it. 2, I wanted I was, of all the options that were out there, like Russell Wilson,
like Russ,
the Browns, of the Aaron Rodgers, Deshaun Watson, all those. That became the in vogue thing, was trade $1 million picks for at that point was a clear Hall of Fame quarterback, and frankly should still be a Hall of Fame quarterback.
Yeah.
But like I could not have been more wrong for how bad he was for the Broncos.
Yeah, but either way, going back to the Judy stuff though, Judy never had a consistent quarterback. He just never did. Then his first year in Cleveland, he gets Watson and PJ Walker for the first however many games, and he's the same exact guy. He looks disinterested. He looks aloof. He looks like he's loafy. He's just like it's all the Jerry Jeudy things, inconsistent catching the ball, all that stuff. And let's be honest, Jameis Winston, look at how is he not a starting quarterback? Honestly. And I know he's goofy, right? And I know that you want your quarterback to be the CEO of the team and everything like that. And Jameis is such a character, and he's almost like a preacher the way he talks, and just like all these little things, right? But how is it that this guy walked onto a Browns offense last year that couldn't hit water if it fell out of a boat, and he turns Jerry Jeudy into a top 10 receiver? David Njoku goes off. Cedric Tillman has the best games of his career. And now with the Giants, he's making Wan'Dale Robinson look like a stud. He's throwing for 300 yards. He's just spreading the ball around. There are so many worse players getting opportunities over Jameis Winston. It blows my mind.
Winston is playing in the wrong decade.
Yeah.
In the 70s, 80s, or 90s, would be a 15-year starter. Because that was what everybody did, was just rear back and chuck it. Like he's an old school dude. The issue with Jameis Winston always run into is he will do his own thing. He will ignore what he's told to do and just lose his mind seemingly and try to make plays. And like you actually have heard him talk about like saying, I don't know why the turnovers keep happening. I'm trying to not have them happen, and they just keep happening. Like
he asked to be delivered.
It's like a spiritual crisis for him when it comes to like some of the stuff he does. And Sunday was no different. Like he was phenomenal in a lot of ways, and then ultimately he does what he does. And like
but Pete, what are we talking about though? We're talking about Jameis Winston making his second start for the Giants. He's only been there this year, and he took the Lions to the wire. Jared Goff went up to him at the end of the game, was like, dude, like, I'm so impressed with you. What the hell? Like, he's a dude, man.
My whole thing was like, I said this last year. I would have signed up for another Jameis because he's fun.
Yeah.
Like, if nothing else, receivers can get the ball and whatever, and maybe you lose because he's going to end up throwing 4 picks.
Especially with this defense, sign me up for that. Are you kidding me?
But compared to the alternative, I mean, look, the other issue Jameis Winston runs into is he's just very hot and cold.
Yeah.
Very emotional in the locker room. And when he's right and he's into it, he's great. And then there are times where it takes him to a very bad place. Not mean like he's an angrier person, but he like shuts down. that type of emotional thing. And that, like, at that position, it's really difficult to live in that world. You
Yeah.
need him to be more consistent. Now, having said that, I don't disagree with that. The idea he should be starting somewhere. It's just, who that team should be. Like I said, I tried to make the case that should have been the Browns again, but regardless, it's weird. It's weird that he's not a starter somewhere every year for now. There's always a team that can be better for it, and maybe work into the weird reverse incentives too. That playing with Jameis Winston is better in terms of being a mediocre football team, but that maybe teams just don't want to be a mediocre
Yeah.
football.
They don't want to be in that quarterback purgatory that a player like Jameis can put him in. Never good enough to put him over the top, but never bad enough to get him a franchise guy.
I mean, let's look at the New York Giants situation. The Giants started Russell Wilson. Like, it's not like they had Jameis Winston be the guy before.
Oh yeah,
They
and
started
that's the crux of my issue, Pete. You're telling me you don't want to see Jameis with a healthy Malik Neighbors? That would have been a 3,000-yard season for Neighbors.
Or like the Pittsburgh Steelers never considered it either. Like, it's very strict. Like, because Mike Tomlin seemingly would have been a guy where I thought it would have been like,
I feel like that would have been a perfect fit.
But they never entertained it at all. So it's just like there's clearly something that that is putting off teams to a point where, like, you are still subjected to occasional glimpses of fun.
Yeah.
And similarly, I mean, Joe Flacco's not that far off in that scenario either. Obviously, he's getting some late run, but like after he got to the Broncos, like, people just sort of stopped caring about him in the same way. Now, obviously, he was Winston's much younger than Joe Flacco was by that point in his career, but it's just a weird phenomenon. Like, that style of quarterback, for whatever reason, is seemingly not appealing to this era of football beyond backup, long-term stint type thing. And I don't quite understand it.
Yeah. Well, let's shuffle over to the most enjoyable part of the show, Pete. Let's talk defense, dude. I mean, obviously, we've been talking about the same three guys nonstop all year, and that's Myles Garrett, Malik Collins, and Carson Schlesinger, right? Another 2.5 sacks from Malik, incredible game. Team had 10 sacks. I want to say 13, maybe 14 tackles for loss. Another 3 sacks from Myles. Pete, can I ask you what you thought about the play when they lined Mason Graham up on the edge and he put a nice little move on? Like, some of the things they're doing with this defensive line and the way Mason Graham's starting to play, dude, I am so head over heels with this kid. I think he's a rock star.
Well, on the one hand, I was sitting here thinking, they're out of ends. I mean, they're just straight up out of dudes at this point. And then, like, there's this moment where you sit here looking at a wide 9, you're like, they're out of defensive ends. And it's like, wait a minute. And then he suddenly whips by, and you're like, all right.
Yeah. Like, okay.
He's absolutely phenomenal. I feel so bad for him because he doesn't get credit for any of these plays.
I know.
I don't know if you watched the mic'd up thing for Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett absolutely loves Mason. Yeah. Because Mason Graham facilitates a lot for him, but he's like, at one point, go get yours at one point, because it's just like they had 10 sacks and this poor guy doesn't get credit for any of them.
Yeah, and he was like in on all of them. He was there on all of them.
The fourth down play where he and I think it's Shelby Harris next to him, just like they start winding out, and then all of a sudden inside, and they literally run over the two blockers. As that sack could have been divvied up into quarters, but just absolutely destroyed him. And again, I watched the Raiders play the Cowboys. I watched the Cowboys. I was just thinking, oh my God, this is going to be disgusting. Beyond the Myles Garrett part, I just thought the interior guys were going to just piece all game, and they did. And Mason Graham dominated from start to finish, dominated, and he doesn't get enough credit. And I think it's figuring out what he does a little bit. But like I had to go through this with Myles Garrett. It took years for people to realize how good he was.
Yep.
Mason, look, I'm not suggesting that Mason Graham is Myles Garrett. He's just really, really good. And the last couple of weeks, just allowed him to be an absolute stud as both run and pass. He's just crushing it. The stunts, the one pick stunt, he just absolutely like down blocks
Yeah.
the way to while Cam Thomas is blowing people up. Like he's been great. Like all four interior guys just ate the entire game. Like W. Harris played well. Rick Collins had 2.5 sacks.
How about
You know,
Isaiah McGuire's pressures? Didn't he have 10 pressures?
like I like DJ Glaze. Have spoken to Delmar DJ. He goes by DJ, but he's like Delmar Glaze. I love this kid coming out of college and got a chance to talk to him at the Senior Bowl, and I felt so bad. Isaiah McGuire is literally putting him on his butt. Like he's not even like necessarily not good, but he's not bad. He's just sort of like that. But like it was just unfair. And yes, Isaiah McGuire doing a really good job of like hopefully reminding people what he can be. He's still not a great pass rusher, though. He's sort of sneaking up in some certain categories. Like speaking of which, like Alex Wright got the contract extension. Mason Graham has now surpassed him in pass rush. He's up over 10%. Isaiah McGuire's at like 12.6. Like Mason Graham has like I think 27 pressures season in a slightly larger sample size than Malik Collins, who was 29. Like it right there in terms of pressures and pressure rate and stuff. Like Malik Collins was great. He had 2.5 sacks, but at no point did I feel like Malik Collins, who now has a career high relative to a season in sacks, I didn't think he was like the best guy. It's just everybody was just so good. And he happened to be there to get the credit for it. Yeah, like I thought Mike Hall was fantastic. Like his power profile is what really stands out, where he's just getting under guys' pads and just driving them into the backfield. He got the
Huntington had a half a sack, didn't he? Didn't Huntington get in there? Aiden Huntington? Didn't he get a half sack? I thought I saw that.
I thought they took it away.
Oh, did they?
Like this was one of the funniest storylines for me in the game. The box score kept changing the entire game. The statisticians were trying to figure out who to give credit to what. So like they couldn't like
so many guys
literally changing throughout the game. Like the one they never messed with, and not surprising, was Myles Garrett. But like everybody else, like the one was clearly a broken play where Mike Hall tackles Geno Smith with the toss, and he just ended up. He initially called it sack and took it away, and like other along those lines. But like they were literally adjusting credit on the box score throughout the game because it was just so difficult to tell. But like I felt so bad for that Putnam kid because his name inspire confidence. But like it was Putnam this week where Mike got under him and just drove him to the back as the Tyler Linderbaum against the Ravens. And just like for Myles Garrett.
Linderbaum's good.
Linderbaum's a good player.
Yeah.
For Myles Garrett, obviously everybody's focusing on can he get 5 sacks in 5 games because everybody wants to beat Strahan and not have an excuse.
Yeah.
I'm past it. Like I do want him to get that. He said 120 sacks, 120.5. He's not even 30 yet. So as a result, Bruce Smith is like easily in his purview.
Yeah.
But at the time, you like think about Bruce Smith's 200 sacks.
It's insurmountable. It's insane. Yeah.
And he's like, at the rate he's going, he could be 35 and have it and play more than that. Like he can.
Yep.
Unless he suffers a catastrophic injury, and based on the level of fun he's having, I don't think he's in a hurry to go anywhere. Based on what I was watching, he could easily get to like 220, 240. You know, continuing this rate. If he gets to 20-something this year, and then is he going to be worse next year? Again, as long as he stays healthy, the defense can be intact. Do this again. He's going to easily like get to Bruce Smith and surpass. Like that part of it is mind blowing to me. Like I always thought Garrett was going to have a 26 season. My frustration was the amount of times like he has to be Superman so often that it's just unfair, and you can game plan away enough because the rest of the unit wasn't good enough. And there's no hiding anymore. And you know, you look at it and you sit there and you go, okay, there's 6 games left. Obviously, we want to see it done in 5. Who does he have coming up? Well, he's got Brock Purdy in the 49ers. Might be tough. He's probably going to be against Trent Williams.
Next week. The week after the Niners
But
is
then-
our week, Pete. That's our week, baby.
But then it's the Tennessee Titans with
Yeah.
Cam, who aren't blocking anybody.
Mm-mm.
And then Cam Ward
Cam likes to hold on to the ball.
Who's after that? Caleb Williams, who will just
who loves to hold on to the
ball.
Yep.
And then they've got somebody else who's also
Buffalo. Then
Buffalo.
Pittsburgh.
Josh Allen, who's doing uncharacteristically not Josh Allen things with the football in the backfield, is holding on to the ball. And then we'll see about Pittsburgh and Joe Burrow's the last.
You're missing the point about Pittsburgh, Pete. We got to keep our fingers crossed about that wrist. Give me Mason Rudolph. That's all we need. That's all we need.
That game that result was extremely important to me because I was worried that people were going to try to talk themselves into not extending Aaron Rodgers for another game. Mason came through. But yeah, look, I just something weird could happen and teams just decide we're not basically the ball to get away from him, but are they willing to concede football games to do that? Are we going to see teams concede to the Browns to avoid giving up sacks, or are the Browns going to be so out of the game these games? I don't know. Like even this coming week, the 49ers offense, Kyle Shanahan is obviously a very, very, very good play caller, very good schemer and all these other things. But like last time these two teams got together, 49ers had way more weapons at their disposal. The Browns beat the brakes off them on that side of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if we're going to suddenly see magic here and then they're not going to be able to solve it. Especially, thankfully, Brock Purdy's healthy because I think Mac Jones is outplaying him. If he can, if they can contain him largely the same way, I think he's going to have some opportunities there. I think the Browns have a really good shot to cause a whole lot of problems for the 49ers offense. Did I lose you? Yo, Die? Is it just me here? Or am I the problem? Looks like it's just me. Okay, it's Joe. So I'm not convinced that the Browns aren't going to have a really good game plan for the 49ers to be able to stop them. And the thing is, compared to 2023, the Browns defense is seemingly better. Like they are legitimately better than what they had that year. Obviously, the numbers aren't as insane in terms of efficiency, all that stuff. But I said that coming into the year, I thought the Browns defense was going to be better than 2023, even if the statistics didn't show it, just from talent and dominance and all these other things. The Tyson Campbell trade just continues to be great for this team. He obviously got cooked on the one play by Trey Tucker, who is a really good receiver, but he also stuck Ashton Genty in the hole. How many corners do you have that can do that? The dynamics that he adds to the team from that standpoint, and the physicality just gives them a really nice balance that allows the idea that they didn't have a corner that could bring that type of profile. In addition to the fact he's a good man corner, the Carson Sweatshirts thing's obviously going to be a big component against Christian McCaffrey and stop and run. And obviously that's where it's going to start. Obviously Kyle Shanahan's offense has so often been predicated on Christian McCaffrey getting that going and then sort of using that to build off everything else and throw the ball. I don't know if they're going to be able to run the ball, or if they do it, essentially they tried to do it against Carolina and just try to throw it to them. I mean, that'll be sort of the question of the Browns. Do they have a good answer for Christian McCaffrey, the receiver? But either way, I think they're going to – I have a feeling they're going to be able to put the game on Brock Purdy. And if that's the case, I like the Browns' chances. I mean, based on how he's playing right now, I think Brock Purdy is worse than Mac Jones. I think Mac Jones would be a better threat for this game than the way I saw, at least Brock Purdy, than what I saw what I've seen, what I saw against Carolina. So, like, I could see the Browns going off, and that becomes very interesting, close football game, because then they're going to have to throw. Obviously, that's going to give the defensive line, but particularly Garrett, more opportunities to get sacked. You good?
I am good. I would like to apologize to everybody about my Walmart internet connection. I will try to figure that out. All right, let's talk about some linebackers. We touched on the D line a little bit. Carson Schlesinger, another great game. But how about Devin Bush? Devin Bush has put together a season, man. He was all over the field on Sunday. He's making plays in the backfield on blitzes. He's a guy that is on a 1-year deal. He had the off-field hiccup earlier this offseason that we thought might lead to a suspension. Nothing's come of it. I don't know if the league hasn't gotten to it or if they just decided not to move forward with it. What's your take on Devin Bush? Do you think he's got a future in Cleveland? Do you think it's hinging on JOK?
I look at him as a barometer for how the team feels about Jay. They sign him and they just say, we're just keeping him. Tells me everything I need to know about JOK, because they can't pay both. I wouldn't think. To the idea of what Devin Bush did in this game, look, the Raiders were trying to mask their awful offensive line by running an insane amount of play action. Like every pass play in the first half, play action. And what that allowed was a situation where if you had a blitz in the right spot, because obviously your play action isn't really, linemen aren't playing backwards. They're not dropping back to block. They're usually they're selling run.
Yeah.
By playing run, they are accounting for the people they can see. They have gaps or whatever they're going to. But if you have the guy going to the right spot at the right time, which they did on the one play by Devin Bush, nothing there was going to be an easy sack. It was just a matter of time before the Browns were going to figure out that particular path, and he obviously cleaned up on that one. As far as Carson Schlesinger, we saw last week sticks Derrick Henry in the hole. This week sticks Ashton Jeanty in the hole, and it's not like
that was like a movie.
Jeanty's legs just stop; they're just done.
And that was like a movie setup. The line parted, and it was one-on-one. It was like a drill in practice. It was awesome, and you nailed it. Look, Genty's what, 5'8", 225, 230 pounds? He's a bowling ball. He's an absolute bowling ball.
The doorstop.
Yeah, honestly. Like he's like a little mountain, right?
He's literally nothing but leverage.
Yes. And literally the play before, he put his helmet into Ronnie Hickman and he drove Ronnie Hickman back about 5 yards. Okay.
Yes, he did.
He's a sledgehammer. And Carson Schlesinger stepped up and stopped him dead in his tracks. I like it. There's not enough superlatives to throw at this kid. He's so far ahead of where I thought he was going to be, but I thought he was going to be good. He's like obnoxiously good.
Well, Jim Schwartz this week was like talking about him in terms of Ray Lewis and saying he was doing stuff Ray Lewis didn't really figure out until 3. How true that is, I don't know. I don't care.
Did you hear Schlesinger say he wished he didn't tell everybody? He wished he just told him that. he's like, I don't need that.
That's the other part. Like, and I've said this since they drafted him. Like all the guys they drafted are like awesome personality wise, and like the whole Judkins situation was really awful because like great smile, was really charismatic, and like ever since that happened, like he shut that element of himself down. But like the rest of these guys are really likable, clearly have a sense of how to operate on camera and all these other things, and like. Obviously, Shador sort of leads the way with like his natural presence. Yeah. You listen to these guys talk, like Mason Graham is probably the like least naturally interesting one. He's a smart guy. He says some really interesting stuff, but like Justin Schlesinger, Harold Fannin, like Dylan Sampson has a great personality. These guys just pop when you listen to him talk. You know that's been one more element. But yeah, Carson Schlesinger is just awesome in terms of personality and everything else. And like the other part with the Ashton Jeanty thing was like Tyson Campbell just got stuck in a play where like I don't know how many times I've seen where not only is that tackle not made, but the dude's still running.
Yeah.
And he just closed that gap and filled. But yeah, like this was a relatively, I don't want to see like uneventful Carson Schlesinger game. It's just like the defensive line was so overwhelming. Yeah. He like ran out of things to do. It was so well covered up. Like they did some blitz stuff. They did some other stuff. Yeah, he just phenomenal, and that's why I think him the matchup between he and CMC this week is going to be massive, and like another great opportunity to showcase his value uh, against the 49ers. But yeah, I mean, like I've said it, I think defensive rookie of the year is over.
Yeah.
That's my rearview mirror at this point. I think rookie Pro Bowl. I think All Pro is just too difficult to do. Though I will just say, whether or not you think he actually deserves it, he looks like a guy who's going to be in that conversation. Maybe not here, but he's going to be in the conversation at some point. He just does so much stuff. And I think he's just going to continue to get better and better and better. And I think where he's going to really elevate is becoming more of a presence in the passing game as he gets smarter and just more aware.
Yeah. No, agreed. I've been absolutely thrilled with him, and he's started as the season's gone on. He started to make more plays in coverage. He, had the interception against Drake May, little things like that. But I'm with you. I think he's a complete player. I think he's just a locked in every down guy that should play every snap for your defense, and like you don't even think twice. And to your point, he does this stuff every week, so there is nothing special to point to that he did this week because he's done it every week. He comes to work every single Sunday. He's productive. He's made plays at the line of scrimmage, behind the line of scrimmage. It's just awesome to see. It's, and the most intriguing thing about this draft class for me, Pete, is like, and it's a long shot, right? It's a long shot that Shedeur becomes what we would hope for a quarterback to become. But say they get lucky. Say that it just like for whatever reasons, he slips through the cracks and you get a starting quarterback in the 5th round of a draft that you had Mason Graham, Quinshot Junkins, just like the whole thing. If you cherry on top that with a 5th round starting quarterback, like that's all-time draft stuff. It really, for the team at least, it's got to be.
Yeah, it makes the Louvre robbery looks like child's play. I mean, just straight up, you absolutely went into the place and took everything. Like, this quarterback class can be a struggle. I really like what Cam Ward is heading, what it's worth. I think Jackson Dart's got talent, though. Again, the health.
He needs time.
He needs time, but he's really talented. Yeah. And then after that, I hope the Saints love Tyler Shuck, just for my purposes.
Yeah.
But like, there aren't a whole lot of guys in this class. You're sitting going, yeah, like I see a whole lot of star potential. Jalen Milroe is going to take a million years. But Shedor's got a shot, and if he can get to that point, yeah, it's going to be a heist. And Andrew Berry will owed a deferred Executive of the Year trophy, given everything he did with this. But yeah, I mean, just if like, let's say for the sake of argument, Shedor goes out and beats the 49ers, however the hell it has to happen, you're going to get into era of unbridled enthusiasm talk, and people are going to start losing their minds, which will be annoying, but like I'm also here for it. So
yeah, it'll be fun at the same time. That's annoying,
Yep.
All right, well let's do our usual whip around the AFC North that we like to do. Ravens over Jets, closer than I thought it would be. Ravens struggled offensively. I mean, they won. They got the 5th win in a row, right? The running game wasn't good. I feel like Henry and Jackson combined for less than 3 yards a carry. I think Jackson was around 50% passing, only around 150 yards. But I mean, it's a 5-game winning streak for the Ravens. At the end of the day, the box score is all that matters. The NFL is the NFL. Sundays are always a fight. A win, even though it's ugly, is still a win. How are you feeling about Baltimore right now?
I mean, my overall impression is whoever limps out of the AFC North is going to immediately bow out of the playoff.
Yeah.
They just all look like crap. I don't think Lamar Jackson looks right.
No.
I do not buy the idea that he's just like gotten to a point in his career. I'm not buying the idea that he's like not necessarily like done as being a quarterback, but done as being the elite, insane echelon athlete. I think that is a product, as has been so often the case, where he just sort of wears down over the course of this year, and he's just not there. Like, you're going to have to show me a whole lot more to make me believe that he's really on the decline. Because if you tell me, if we fast forward to next year and he's back to being MVP level,
Yeah.
Not shock me in the least. But at least right now, they look very flawed. And by virtue of him not being that guy, and Derrick Henry, he's not done, but he's not Derrick Henry of
No.
elite form anymore. And that I don't think is coming back. I think he's at that point where he will still be a good running back. Obviously, gave the Browns problems in the second game,
Yeah.
but I think he's coming whatever that next element is, and they've got real problems up front. Offensive line isn't good. They've got a lot of work to do up there because on one hand, you've still got Ronnie Stanley.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know how much longer they can keep doing this, where they are like basically, and they've been doing this for a couple of years, where they're basically like rotating him at tackle. Rosengarten is having a difficult time. Their guard play sucks, and they're going to have Linderbaum is a pending free agent. I assume they're going to keep him, but it's one more thing to do. So they got a lot of problems on that side of the ball, and then defensively they are. Kyle Hamilton just fixes so much. They've still got major problems. They don't rush the passer well. There's a lot of other things they don't do great, but they're doing enough. They're beating bad teams, as you said. I think the defense, the Ravens have had this weird habit of starting out really crappy early in the year and then tweaking,
retooling. Yeah.
In this case, the Alohi Gilman trade seems to have been worked for them, and it allows them to use Kyle Hamilton in a more productive way. That seems to have been a real boost for them.
It's so funny that you say that, Pete, because if you go back a year, when they moved Hamilton from the box guy to the free and they put him in center field last year, that was the catalyst for the defense last year to really take off. It's so wild how many moving pieces and how fluid these situations are and how these things change. And literally in a calendar year, the Ravens defense turned itself around by moving a guy from one spot to another and then ultimately back to that same spot to have the same effect. Like, that's kind of crazy.
What was the reason they changed last year?
Last year, Marcus Williams?
Yeah.
Was it Jameis? Was it the Jameis? Yeah, Jameis got him.
The second it was after that game that they benched him.
Yeah.
And that was the adjustment. So yes, it took the Browns beating them to
it's the Cedric Tillman game.
That was another one of those where I was loud wrong. I loved Marcus Williams in college. Loved him with the Saints. I was so mad that the Ravens signed him, and then he just did not work for whatever reason. He sort of fizzled out from that standpoint. But yeah, the Ravens figured out something on defense that allowed them to be competitive. They're obviously now in a tie for first place. I think they're ultimately going short of a catastrophic injury to Lamar Jackson. I think they will ultimately win the division, and then I think they will be a first-round out. I think somebody will come in. I mean, maybe I'm wrong because maybe they'll end up playing like Jags in the playoffs, which and get a win that way. But my suspicion is they will lose to the better wild card opponent.
So in something that it's like the whole OIC thing, right? Only in Cleveland. Well, only happening to Cleveland is a team whose quarterback throws 3 interceptions, he loses a fumble, and they still win. Why do the Jacksonville Jaguars want to be the most obnoxiously annoying franchise in the history of franchises? Just lose. Like I'm so sick of them. Just every close game goes their way. It's unfreaking real, man. It really is.
But what's mind-boggling is the Raiders had them beat. They gave it away. Like that awful Raiders team we just watched had them beat. Anyway, Cardinals aren't good. Could have beat them. Jacoby Brissett to Michael Wilson had the chance.
Why is Jacoby Brissett in Arizona just like he's like the new Jameis? He's shredding it, dude. He's playing really well. They have no running game.
Well, it reminds me of this weird golden age of Boomer Esiason when he went down to Arizona and just started throwing the rock for like 500 yards of this weird 3-week period. He had like 1,300 passing yards in 3 weeks. It's just weird, and that situation isn't very good. But yeah, I mean, it's just they got I need Cam Ward to rise up and beat them twice. Like that's where Ward is. I am left to just don't make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Guarantee
Well,
me a
that's
top.
the way their schedule looks right now. It's almost like they're locked into at least 10 wins. It's gross.
Yeah, that's the magic number. If you get to 10,
Yeah.
you're basically square set. So like, I need Cam Ward to somehow rise up and win one of these. I need the Colts to take care of business. But this has been an absolute nightmare. Trevor Lawrence like legitimately stinks, and I do not think Tim Cohen is going to pitch himself to that next year. I think he's going to find some other way to get something else in there to start paving the way to not have to have Trevor Lawrence. They now have, and obviously some of these guys are injured. We have 15 receivers now.
Yep.
And the quarterback still stinks. And it's like his best asset right now is running because he's 6'6", 250 or whatever he actually is. He's a tight end. And at this point, he looks like he should be, talking about transitioning to tight end because he's just not good at the quarterback thing. But like, it keeps working, and they may limp into the playoffs and be the most unsatisfying playoff team this year, other than them and whoever wins the AFC.
I can't agree with that enough. Super annoyed with the Jaguars. Super annoyed with just how everything's bounced their way, how their schedule falls now with Tennessee twice in the last 6 weeks. All right, let's talk about. You know what? This is something I'd love to talk about. Let's talk about the Cincinnati Bengals, right? Because we have been getting lambasted by all of this Joe Flacco trade stuff. But since we made that trade, Pete, who has more wins, the Browns or the Bengals?
Yeah, I mean the Browns have more wins than the Bengals do.
Even post-trade.
Yep.
Even post-trade.
Since the trade, they have more wins.
Trade. Yeah.
Yeah. Look, somebody famously described this as the second worst trade in Browns history. Tony Grossi. Like this was one of the most over dramatized things that the Browns did. Joe Flacco was solid, and he's been fun. Like, and he wasn't good in this game. He was not good. He sort of had the nice run early. Beat the Steelers, which I think should be included in the trade.
Yep.
Part of the compensation. The Browns got a little bit of draft compensation. They did Joe Flacco solid. They allowed him to be a starter. He's happy. And Browns receive, Steelers lost.
Like they were the catalyst to the Steelers unraveling, sir. They've been a mess ever since that trade.
Threw a gigantic fit over the possibility of to play Flacco, and he was right to be worried. It's the one team they beat, and like it's not Joe Flacco's fault. Obviously, he's been, a lot of these games he's been good enough, but in this game, Eagles defense, bunch of goal line stands, and Joe Flacco turned over the ball like through that god awful pick six, and I watched Shador. I thought he was going to throw the same pick.
Yeah.
That lackadaisical flat. The Patriots DB easily comes underneath, takes it to the house, and it was just like that was how their game went. And then later, unfortunately, threw a ball that sort of needed
hung a little bit. Yeah.
Concussion protocol. And then the other underplayed element I underplayed in Cincinnati. Is there any doubt that they win that game if Jamar Chase doesn't spit on Ramsey? Like,
yep,
his suspension may literally,
it already did cost
them. That's the difference.
Yeah.
I think that's the difference. Like, they win that football game if Jamar Chase is not suspended. They have him in T8. That's tough, and I don't think there's any getting away from that. Not that I don't think the Bengals season is getting saved anyway, but still, like. That's a tough look for your team when a guy does something like that and you lose the next game over it in what was clearly a game. Like I think most people assume the Patriots should absolutely drill the Bengals.
Yeah,
the Patriots have been rolling, and they didn't. And the fact that it was that close, I think you sit there, and especially because the defense was as effective as it was. Jamar Chase playing that game, I think.
Let me ask you something. Is there any hesitation on your part, if you're Zach Taylor, if you're the Bengals front office, of letting Burrow come back and play? I mean, it's such a long shot at this point for them to do anything in the postseason. The last thing you want to do is jeopardize next season as well. I mean, What's your thought process on this? Me personally, I shelve him. What are we doing, Joe? What are you rushing back for? We didn't win enough games to make it a thing. So just worry about your rehab. We'll let Flacco play out the rest of the year, and then we'll, do what we got to do in the offseason.
I can't fault anything that Joe Burrow is doing. Joe Burrow is doing exactly what he's supposed to. He's rehabbing, trying to get back, and says he wants to play, he wants to be out there for his teammates. And he keeps talking about, like, healthy, want to play football. I want to play football as long as I don't get worried about what's happening. And the thing he doesn't say, which I'm surprised he didn't, like, people are buying tickets to watch me play football. Like, it would be a disservice not to be out there and play football.
Yeah.
As an organization, you have to think about it. I think as an organization, you have to be like sit there and go, should we do this? Now, ultimately, I think they will for the reason I just laid out.
Yeah.
On the seats, and that's it. And but if I also think it's a really tough look. Basically, yeah, Joe, we get it. If you're not playing because we suck too much, because our defense is terrible, so we're not going to put you out there. Like, that's also a tough look, even if it's reasonable, ultimately, in terms of the long-term planning. But yeah, I mean, the situation you don't want to be in is a franchise where your quarterback's hard to get back out there. He wants to be out there with his teammates, and to then be like, well, you probably shouldn't. And the thing is, they won't. They're not going to. He's out there and play. But, like, up by the Browns week 18, and the Browns are healthy on defense. They may murder.
You better put Joe back in there, or Joe Flacco, I mean.
Oh, that's
maybe even Jake Browning.
Now, maybe now Joe Burrow, what he should do is get to the end of the season and then demand a trade to Cleveland, and then we can really get this thing rolling.
Yeah,
that way. But yeah, I mean, he's gonna come back. He's gonna play, and the thing is, he might get hurt again because the way he plays, he'll hold on to the ball. Like, Joe Flacco gets rid of the ball faster than Joe Burrow. There's no question. Joe Burrow will try to extend his legs, try to win, do all the other stuff, and unfortunately, just Joe Burrow has had really bad luck.
Yeah,
with it's not like he, get this whole he's injury prone thing. I don't look at the injuries he's had and say fragile. I think he's just gets hit enough, and
I was going to say it's a correlation of hits taken. I mean, injuries are going to come, especially like he's a quarterback. He's not built to sustain linemen crashing down on him. He's just not. If you get hit that much, especially his first couple years in the league. I mean, obviously he got hurt, so he didn't take a ton of snaps as a rookie, but he got his brains beat out, man. I remember week 2 of 2020, his rookie season. We beat the brakes off that kid, and he still torched us for over 300 yards passing. His only weapon at the time was T. Higgins, nobody else. It was a horrible team, and it's just, you knew. This dude's he's a gunslinger, man. He's just so good with the football, so dangerous as a passer. He is so good. And he's a guy that doesn't have this, like, the elite physical talent that just wows you. He's just so good at football. He's so smart. He's so accurate. He's a nice athlete. He's got a really nice arm, but, like, it's nothing overwhelming. He's just damn good at quarterback.
He is sneaky bigger than you think he is, but the rest of that I agree with. Like, he's a big kid, but yeah, like 100%.
How tall is he? I thought he was like 6'3", 230, right? Like, which is good size, but, like, that's not a huge man. Your defensive linemen are about 6'4", 6'5", 280, 290.
Oh, that's fair, but 6'3", 250, especially
it's all relative.
Yeah.
No, how about okay, well, let's talk let's go Steelers Bears, right? Steelers, that always like seeing the Steelers lose. They ran the ball well, but they couldn't really do anything through the air. Mason Rudolph. And they couldn't stop Caleb. 3 touchdowns. Is he starting to develop? Or are the Bears just kind of taking advantage of crummy teams? Because you look at the numbers, and it's legit. And he looks substantially better than he looked at any point last year, obviously. And this is typical young quarterback progression.
Better. There's no question about that. He's still a madman. He still does really dumb stuff with the football, and he will just occasionally lose his mind, and obviously handed the Steelers 7 points for no good reason. But yeah, he's getting better. He's starting to figure some stuff out. He's starting to figure out the speed of the game and what he's capable of. And his tools are just incredible.
Yeah.
In terms of what he can do. So, yeah, he is getting better. He's not where they want him to be in terms of where they ultimately end up. They don't need him to be right now. Right now, he's first place in the AFC North. No one expected him to be, even if they thought he was going to be way better than last year.
Yeah.
So, I think he's just sort of progressing at the rate he's going. My suspicion is that this offseason is when he will really take off. One more year. Now his will be his second year with Ben Johnson at offense. I think it will really click in addition to just being his third year. But yeah, he's getting better. I think he one is a good line to make the playoffs, and I could see him having a really clunky first postseason game. But I think the growth is there. And Mason Rudolph was exactly who I expected him to be. He can do some really nice things in terms of throwing the football, but he can't move. And he will make decisions that will just drive you insane every so often. And did all those things. Thankfully, he did all those things because we're not having to be teased with the idea of him being a viable starter and moving off of Aaron Rodgers or whatever. I'd rather they stick with Aaron Rodgers. But yeah, in the offense they have is just not very good. Needs more pieces, obviously.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers, and look, Aaron Rodgers can be pretty good for them if they give him more weapons. It's DK Metcalf, and then when DK Metcalf has an ankle injury, it's like where's the ball going? Like Darnell Washington is a fun toy. He's certainly not a featured weapon you're going to build your offense around. Their running game is inconsistent, so it's tough. It's tough to be to be too hard on them because everybody expects them to run the football and then just cover DK Metcalf. So I get it from that standpoint. The bigger disappointment and the thing that continues to be a conversation is why isn't their defense good? They have players and they will occasionally do good things, but why do they keep spitting the bit? They have opportunities. There were times where guys are just wide open against them. Middle of the field, nothing's there, and it's just easy pickings for them. And I don't, if they don't make the playoffs, which is not an unforeseeable thing, I'm rooting for them. Unfortunately, I'm in the position where I'm rooting for them. Need them to make the playoffs or somebody who is not Jacksonville. So if that means that the Steelers need to win their next 5, I'm willing to make that sacrifice if Jacksonville does not. But I do think there is going to be a real reckoning this season if they end up 9-8
playoffs
and don't make the playoffs. And it's not like I think they're going to fire the coach, do all this other stuff, but that team is really old. They have not given themselves a ton of outs. And I don't know where they go from here with everything they do for that team. And that, I'll be honest, man, at the time, I thought the smart play would have been to trade TJ Watt. And not because I have some vendetta against TJ Watt. Herbig is a dude. Alex Highsmith is really good. And if you could have gotten I don't know what the package would have been. If you got 2 ones, or what I think the Steelers would have really wanted was a player and a pick.
Yeah.
Help them, particularly on offense. I don't know if that wasn't the better play for them. TJ Watt's going to end up in the Hall of Fame. I'm not going to I do question if they aren't sitting there going, are we sure we gave contract to the right guy? Because all of a sudden, in this world where Alex Highsmith, Nick Herbig weren't paid, TJ Watt is paid, and you're going to have to make a decision on some of these guys. And you run the risk of them being in position. I think ultimately, Highsmith would probably be the one to go.
Yeah.
And I do not think he is. I do not think he is. Who's the dude they had out of Kentucky? But I do not think for 1 second that Alex Highsmith is. I do not. I think he's a really good football player.
Yeah.
I think that will be a situation where he ends up leaving, and he's good for somebody else as opposed to a bunch of pre-leaves. It's sort of I think that could be one potential issue that comes out of this, and I don't know that they are going to feel like they got their money's worth out of Patrick.
Yeah. Well, and they paid Queen handsomely. They gave him a pretty
he's making a
sizable
ton.
contract. I wasn't expecting that. No.
Yeah, so that'd be an interesting conversation.
Go ahead. I'm so sorry. No, you go ahead. What you saying?
I was just kidding. Those are the conversations I think if things go badly, I think those are conversations they start having. Is we've got all this money tied up in delivering. We can figure out some other way to get this and use these guys to. Well, Queen, I don't think they can trade, but like if it's Highsmith, I think they can use that to take more assets because like here again, we're talking about. Or I'm enjoying hearing about the conversation about George Pickens being the most traded of all time. Let's just sit here and are wishing for weapons. Now, do I think George Pickens fixes their problems? Not really, and I don't think they were going to find him because he's a madman. But like, it does leave this gaping hole for them that they have to solve, and the defense is not as good as they need it to be.
Yeah, well, and I'll tell you, this is the first time I've ever given any legitimacy to the noise around Tomlin's job security. Like, I at least think it's a discussion. I don't think they would fire him. I don't think they would want to fire him. But I could see both sides coming together and acknowledging that him maybe stepping down. Yeah.
No, I think what will happen is I think this will be they're gonna. I think Terrell Austin will be on the door. There are any number of Steeler fans who desperately wish he would have been fired for this season, during this season, and basically every week they have a bad game. They cannot stand Terrell Austin, and that's the most logical change. But I look, I've joked and said Tomlin could be the head coach of the Miami Dolphins. That's the situation you laid out where they basically go, look, Mike Tomlin comes in and goes, there's nowhere to go for me. We poured all these assets into this team, and it's just not there. And it's time to cut it here and go our separate ways. I don't think that's going to happen. Like, other than that, like Steelers fans constantly want to fire Mike Tomlin.
Yeah,
go for it. I'm here for it. But like,
yeah. Same. How about this was I heard this talked about on the radio and with different whatevers. Say say the season just goes completely off the rails. We finish, 3-14. We make a change of coaching staff, but so does Pittsburgh. Would you consider Mike Tomlin?
No.
Say Tomlin considered us. I would love to get your perspective on this.
Mike Tomlin is fantastic in terms of the culture element. I don't deny that. Like, he's been able to keep some knuckleheads under some level of control.
Yeah.
For at least a short span of time. I think there is a bonus to the fact that Pittsburgh is so well run in terms of being a football operation. Now, they are a poverty franchise in terms of facilities and all the extras, but they get a lot of the stuff right in terms of how to run the team. And I do think Mike Tomlin gets a small benefit in that. So the appeal would be Mike Tomlin would give you that culture element. That's not enough for me. I don't feel good about necessarily him hiring assistants. I don't think he's done a very good job of hiring assistants.
Yeah.
A lot of them. And on a job like this one, you need to be really good, and you need to have a really good offensive coordinator, and you need to have all these things. And I think the hire they made at OC, getting the FedEx Air in there, has been fine. They've whiffed a lot.
Yeah.
Coordinator. So that's where I sort of worry. I think Tomlin could be a good coach somewhere, and he can continue to be good. But because at one point there was a flirtation he had, or I don't know if he had it, but we were on the idea that he was going to take over Washington. It was he'll fix some of the stuff, but there's a level of dysfunction you can't get around, and he doesn't. And the other thing with Mike Tomlin is the other big issue I have with Mike Tomlin, one of the worst game managers. awful. He's awful with timeouts. He gets a lot of things wrong. Like, you go back to the snow game last year, fun for Browns fans, they won. He completely mishandled, absolutely mangled the clock in that game. And he does it regularly. He's really bad at that stuff. So, like, he's great with players. Players love him, all that stuff. He's great. He's a recruiter in that sense. Free to want to come play for him. All those things are great. But the piece that I think is missing with him is, one, obviously, if he's not in Pittsburgh, he doesn't have the benefit of the Steelers organization. Two, just good at a lot of things, but the stuff that there are things he will do that will absolutely drive you crazy and drive Steelers. He's really bad at things he should be way better at this point. And if it would be one thing if he was to say, "I suck at the clock. I'm going to hand this thing off and tell somebody else. Just tell me when to take timeouts and when to do things." He doesn't do that. Like, that's the other element. He's never addressed this glaring weakness. He's a Hall of Fame coach. Like, he's one of the best to ever do it in terms of, like, so it sounds legitimately insane for me to go, absolutely knowing my comment. I just, too many things where I've watched him do where I'm just like, this is problematic.
Well, but Pete, there's nuance to it. There's nuance to that whole situation because you nailed it. The Pittsburgh Steelers are like they are the standard in terms of NFL franchises for how it's run. I mean, maybe not necessarily the standard, but they are one of the most respected organizations. They have the Steeler way. The standard is the standard, all that stuff. But here's a guy who inherited Ben Roethlisberger on his way into his prime. So you inherited a Hall of Fame quarterback on the way to his prime, and you rode that as long as you could. But ever since Ben Roethlisberger became a non-Hall of Fame quarterback, the Pittsburgh offense has been stuck in the mud. And you got to pin that on Tomlin because he hasn't made the right hires. They haven't made the right moves. And maybe organizationally, they never went all in to fix the quarterback position, but that's all on his watch. And I have to believe that if he, slammed a flag down on this guy, or I need that guy, or we need to make a move for this, they'd give it to him, or at least to a degree.
The problem is the Steelers don't fire guys. Like, if you sign him to a contract, you're stuck with him. So, like, this drove Steelers fans crazy. The last offensive coordinator, because he can get rid of him, even though they wanted to. So, like, I think there are a lot of things Tomlin does really well. I think his overall messaging, I think the way he handles the media, not this big thing where
he's a hell of a leader.
Messaging is just phenomenal. He's one of the best at it. There are a lot of elements that I think he gets right, but like the details in terms of clock management, the hires and stuff, like that would be the benefit he'd potentially get in Cleveland. He says, I'm done with this coordinator. Browns would get rid of him. But like there is an amount of loyalty he has to some of his guys who haven't been very good too. So like, but like his hires have not been good. One of the best to ever do it. So if anybody says I'm insane for not wanting Tomlin, probably right. But there are just issues I have, and some of it may just come down to some deep-seated disgust. The idea of Mike Tomlin wearing the brown and orange and all this other stuff.
Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. All right, well let's close things off with a little bit of draft talk. All right. Now, I want to say after Jacksonville's win, they're somewhere in the freaking 30s because they're, assholes. But either way, so early 20s for the Jaguars, 6 overall for the Brownies. Who are you looking at 6 overall right now? And I'm going to give you 2 questions. Number one, obviously non-quarterback. Who are you looking for at number 6? And question number 2, if the Tennessee Titans are sitting at the number 1 pick, are you willing to trade up to number 1 to get a Mendoza or a Ty Simpson or a Dante Moore if he comes out? I mean, obviously, I 2 of those 3 I think are going back to school, but let's just, for the sake of hypothetical, say they come in. What's that?
You have 2 of the 3 going back to school. That's interesting.
You don't think Simpson is going to go back to school? No. I think it's a decent chance.
I think he. I'm not going to say he can't. But I think the age is going to ultimately cause him to come out. He's going to be practically 24 next year.
Oh, I thought he was younger. I thought he was only 21, 22.
Let me make sure I'm not giving you bad information. but I'm fairly sure he is going to be older than you. My inclination immediately is he's already 22.9 right now. 23 momentarily, and then obviously will be 24 a year. So I think he will leave. At this moment, and let's say, because there's a couple different ways to look at this, but let's operate in the understanding that like Mendoza and another quarterback are in the draft, and they're both coming. The answer to your question right now is no. Can't wilt away that many assets. Now, we're in March, and all of a sudden I go, wow, look at the line and all this setup. Okay. Maybe that's a new conversation, but based on the information we're at right now, right this second, I'm looking at 2 players at the 6th pick in the draft, and I might even try to trade down a little.
Yeah.
Nothing dramatic, but maybe I'm trying to maneuver my way. Somebody's like, all right, well, if Caleb Downs is sitting there on the board, I'm absolutely sitting great down and just rubbing everybody's face. Yeah. No, at that point, I want either Mekhi Lemon or Carnell Tate.
And you're talking at 6. You want Mekhi or Tate. Yeah.
Like those guys, one, it's a weird draft class in terms of the super premium position. I don't know how that's going to shake out. Well, like I presume at this point, Ruben Vanderbilt. I assume one, if not both quarterbacks.
Yeah.
After that,
who the hell knows?
Yeah. Because there's no, there's no corner right this second. You're going, he's going to be a top 5 block. There's no maybe Peter Woods at defensive tackle, but I think he's probably going to drift down a little bit.
Yeah.
Wide receiver, maybe somebody will take Jordan
Would you take a defensive tackle if he's the best guy available and you're sitting there at 6 and he's the number 1 guy on your board? Would you do that?
No.
Yeah, I was going to say. We have a different conversation.
I'm just talking about in terms of what else is likely to come off the board in that area that's likely to be in the conversation. Because I'm not looking at a corner either.
Yeah.
Well, like those are positions where I can see teams being like, I gotta get there and take this. Well, like you go through the list of like the normal positions, not really anymore. So like you can find yourself in a weird situation where like Jeremiah Love goes really high, or maybe one of the linemen will end up going that high. Maybe Fano is going to end up going that high. I don't know what he was. Even the Utah game. Maybe there's somebody else who can sort of creep up in that and do what Armand Membu did last year. Mm-hmm. Like that's where I sort of get a little worried. Like you're gonna have to be up high to take some of these premium picks. So like I don't want to get out of the top 10 if I can help it. Like I'd love to get a bit further down and add what would then be assets for 20.
Yeah,
and that also may be a tough sell because there may not be a whole lot of teams that want to do that. So the other thing that's another weird dynamic. There is the possibility that a team is willing to move down from 1 or to a small discount because teams aren't as eager to move up because everybody's sitting there and going, we're waiting until 2027. A lot will depend on who's there. But based on the information we have, Kyle Lemon, Carnell Tate. Now, I would like more clarity on Carnell Tate's injury situation and all this and what's actually if it's precautionary or whatever. Kyle Lemon is going to drive people insane because he's 5'11", he's 200 and something pounds, which is fine. Probably a 4-5 guy. Drive people insane because he's not going to start the normal things.
Yeah.
He plays wide receiver the way Harold Fannin and Quinshon Judkins do everything. He is so good. Not only is he tough, break tackles and do all these other things, like he is just really, really good at being separation. He's really good at, even though, again, he's 5'11" and 200 pounds, maybe. He wins 50-50 ball. Like he wins at the catch. He uses his body exceptionally well. And if you are looking for comparisons, plays like Jackson Smith and Jigba does. And he is absolutely smoking the competition right now.
Oh, yeah. There's the number one wide receiver in football. It's not even close. He's killing it.
And then Carnell, he's averaging over 3 yards a route, which is like the magic number for that stand. Like, yes, he's probably likely a pure slot. I don't care. I look at him like JSN. Sign me up for that. Carnell Tate is sort of the exact opposite in terms of he has the exact desirable measurements you have. He's closer to 6'3". Got better long speed. He's more of a pure speed element and looks the part of sort of the franchise wide receiver. And obviously the Ohio State thing, not that much for this, for our purposes, but like you'll get people to go, oh, you got to take the Ohio State receiver, look at the track record and all these things.
Yeah.
Are absolutely fantastic. And, Mekhi Lemon, the biggest advantage he has and why I favor him is he's done it longer. Carnell Tate has been extraordinary this season. He has done everything Ohio State that they could. He's done everything this year that they could possibly want. But it did take him a little bit to get going. And obviously, you can sit there and make the argument, well, he was in a log jam and this, that, and the other. Mekhi Lemon's in a log jam too. They've had a lot of receivers at USC.
Yes.
So those two would both make me very happy. And then at that point, hopefully 19th pick. But even if it's in the 20s, then I'm looking at the offensive line.
Yeah.
Probably. We'll see. My worry is that you're going to be in a situation where you're potentially talking about taking guys that you sort of in the Caleb McGarry type are like guys who aren't really first round picks but end up going in the first round because they play
tackle
supply and all this other stuff. And at that point, I understand the argument, but I'm really more interested in getting a premium guard than I am at that point. And a lot of this can change based on where I am. But like, if it's Vega Ione from Penn State, who's just an absolute house. If it's Jennings Dunker, depending on where people have him, if the first round pick, or I was looking at rankings done by Brandon Thorne. He's got him in like the 70s in his rankings, which sign me up. I will take him in the 70s.
Hell yeah. Are you completely off of Jordan Tyson because of the medicals now?
I am. I'm off of him in the sense of the medicals concern me. Yeah. It's just been a thing for him. Not that I think he's a bad player by any stretch. Not as efficient as the other guys in terms of like numbers and stuff, but his overwhelming production is really good. But the hamstring scares the crap out of me.
Yeah.
I'm already dealing with it with Cedric Tillman.
Yeah.
And those are things that just tend to pop back up. Like I don't expect
he's going to linger
his career with no more hamstring injuries. So that is of concern to me. Whereas a guy like Lemon plays and his body works and all these other things. Look, we'll learn more about this. And if there's more weird medical stuff, but like right now, I would say Jordan Tyson's me out of the group behind Mekhi Lemon and Carnell Tate. I absolutely would sign up for those guys. And if you put those guys in this past year's draft, I don't think they would have gone as high just because of position demand. But like I think and obviously JSN will help Mekhi Lemon. But I think unless something weird happens, and maybe it will, because like people get very weird about guys like Mekhi Lemon. They go sit there and go, "You want me to take a 5'11"?
Well, yeah. Look at Egbuka. Egbuka is actually a little bit bigger, but like he wasn't like overwhelming.
Similar deal. Yeah, similar deal. Yeah, I mean it's the same thing where like JSN and Egbuka both sort of, not that they were expected to go super high, but like just sort of hung around.
Yeah. Well, so, and I feel like both guys in their draft lost a little steam, right? Because the JSN draft, if I remember this correctly, there was a lot of people that thought Houston was going to take him with CJ, right? Wasn't that kind of the pairing that people were like thinking, because Houston had the 2 and then they had their 12, right? And they wound up trading up for Will Anderson or whatever. But I feel like Agbuka too, like both of those guys just kind of didn't catch enough hype. And they were just kind of like, they were good prospects, but nobody's going crazy for them. But they're already pros when they wind up showing up at the facility. Ohio State just got them to that point, and they were that good. And it's just like, yeah, I mean, it's just like under the radar guys. Not everybody has to be Megatron to be this incredible prospect. Like you can be nuanced as a receiver, and like you said, do all the little things well. He's not going to wow you with his speed. He's not a huge receiver, but he plays bigger than he is. Plays faster than he is. He's got great hands. He runs good routes. I feel like wide receiver is one of those ones that if they don't have those overwhelming traits that pop out, they can definitely fall to the middle of that round.
Yeah, so I'll be curious to see if people overanalyze him. I trade down a little bit, pick up something, and then pick him. Or if they don't want to mess with it, they just say, this is our dude. We're getting him.
Yeah.
Those two are both really impressive. Like, watch him against Iowa, where it's raining and he's just helping people. The way he plays, his attitude, everything about him. But yeah, even beyond all that stuff, his numbers in terms of efficiency and the stuff you look for, in terms of both market share production, in terms of when he started dominating, in terms of yards per route run, he crushed it. And so does Tate this year. Yeah. So you're not going to get a whole lot of pushback if you go, man, I had to settle for the 6'3", or low 4'4" or high 4'3" guy.
Yeah, coming out of wide receiver U.
Yeah, but that's the choice. Whereas Jordan Tyson, who I think is really, really good at the position, there's a part of you that sits there and go, how is he going to hold up? And he's another guy I don't think athletically he's going to do much for you, but like you wonder if he could be more. And I guess this is really really unfair and weird criticism, but like, is he going to turn to Marvin Harrison Jr., where you're sort of like, yeah, but he's not, and maybe Harrison still will be at some point.
Yeah,
sitting there going, am I gonna have buyer's remorse with this body type and this style as opposed to these other guys?
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. I feel like Harrison. I think Harrison's more a case of just like the wrong style of receiver with the wrong style of quarterback. Like the marriage with Kyler Murray is just it did not work. It has not worked. I think Kyler Murray's not a good. He's not a good quarterback at this point. He's a remarkable athlete. He's an unbelievable athlete, but he's not a good quarterback. And nobody looks good consistently in that offense when he's at the helm. I mean, he'll make plays every now and then, but a guy like Marvin Harrison is a timing and precision player. And he needs to be in a timing and precision offense to fully utilize his ability to run routes and everything like that. But either way, Peter, this is it's run a little late. It is always a pleasure. And thank you guys for sticking with us, all 543 of you. We appreciate it to the utmost. Now in the top left corner there, you've got the code to link to the OBR subscription page. Definitely do that. Definitely check that out, guys. It's the biggest deal of the year, 75% off. Make it happen. And let's go Browns against the Niners this Sunday. Peter, it is always a pleasure, and I'll catch you next week, buddy.